Jsem Maria. I'm in 11th grade и у меня много увлечений. Moc ráda se učím novým věcem. Et j'aime voyager et juste parler. Out of those watching, I'm sure that all of you speak at least one language, as we are communicating right now. I'm also sure that most of you are bilingual, or speak as many as 3, 4, 5, or even 6 languages. As estimated by Michael Parkwall, a linguist graduate, the average number of languages spoken by a person anywhere in the world is 1.69 languages, around 2 languages throughout Europe, and looks like even more in our TEDx community here. And yet there are the limits and haunting questions forcing us to choose just a single part of the map we come from. There are the views and categories that all Asians are super smart, or the typical loud, crazy Latinos or cold Russians. How many times have you heard that already? There are many stereotypes based on culture, yet how many of them are actually true? Growing up in a certain society can really influence our identity. After all, there are over 7,000 different languages, all with a different history, structure, traditions, and a slightly different perspective on the world. As a child, I grew up in Russia, a place rather often associated with bears, Moscow, the extreme cold, Putin, and vodka. But no, I really hope that none of these things actually had any influence on my life. Well, especially the vodka. At 6 years old, my parents made the decision of moving to the Czech Republic, and soon my little self was confused. The snowy weather turned into Chinese tourists, and the crowds of people turned into Christmas songs, and people wearing socks with sandals and eating rohliks, a type of bread. But no, I'm just exaggerating. In a story my dad told me later, he clearly remembered an 8-year-old me coming up to him and asking, "Dad, who am I? Am I Czech?" By then, I could easily speak Czech, having gone to a Czech school, and the question inside my mind was clear. Who was I? And when I later went to an international school speaking English, the question became even more complicated. Simply said as in a Czech proverb, kolik jazyků znáš, tolikrát jsi člověkem. Learn a new language and get a new soul. So for every language I spoke, I had something like a slightly different side to my identity. A foreign language effects study performed by Keisar Hayakawa and Sunguyu at the University of Chicago in 2012 concluded that when using a foreign language, we are more analytical and detached from our emotions. In our mother tongue, on the contrary, we are more biased towards emotion and empathy, causing us to act differently. And I'd say there's something in it. Something in it. That does sound pretty weird when you think about it. That cannot be literal. So no, don't get me wrong. By saying there's something in this concept, I'm not trying to say that it is full of something. All I'm doing here is directly translating a Russian phrase, the sentence meaning something smart and interesting hidden in the concept. There is so much hidden meaning in languages that we can only learn through experience, through living the language. Each language and culture is structured differently, causing us to develop a different thinking pattern and hence express ourselves differently. A house and a home. Think about it. Which is the one that touches your heart? Which is the one you feel belonging to? Home. A soft, warm, cookie atmosphere that a house just does not have. Imagine just having a single word, dom, for both the words, as for example in Russian. And the funny thing was that when in Russia, I told people I came from the Czech Republic, as I didn't really know much about life in my home country, visiting it just occasionally. And in Prague, I told people about my Russian mother tongue. However, when I spoke English, people commented on my accent. How come I did not fit in anywhere I was? Another way to look at this was via the concept of perspective, the idea of linguistic determinism. In a study conducted in 2002, native Spanish and German speakers were asked to list 3 adjectives they associated with the words given. Interestingly, the word key, which is feminine in Spanish, la llave, evoked descriptions like golden, lovely, and tiny. German speakers, on the other hand, showed to associate keys with hard, heavy, and metal, an interesting correlation as the word is masculine in German, der Schlüssel. Languages simply change our understandings and connections between people. Did you know, for instance, that the book War and Peace can simply not be translated the same way as the original, Vajna i Mir, as the word mir does not simply mean peace, but the whole world as well? How can half the meaning in such a critical novel be lost, turning the whole book around? There is no perfect translation, because each word and then book and language has a different feel to it, a feeling of comfort as you get to know the language. Each language is structured differently, which causes a unique way of thinking about it. My friend once tasked me to write a universal formula to capture any language. And as much as this idea was intriguing in the way that it could connect languages and cultures all around the world, I realized that I could not squish all the languages into a single formula, as they're all different in their structure, history, and the way they influence our identities. So I think the question inside my mind was solved, as even though culture strongly influenced and even formed my identity, I could not describe myself as just one culture. We are all a mix of different cultures around the world, with our own unique culture. So maybe it's not that important that there isn't a home in Russian. As the more languages you learn, the more home areas there are in the world for you. Thank you.